What's up, y'all? This is Bachelor with Saints Unscripted. Today, I want to talk about a topic that gets a lot of attention online: garments. Now, I've been watching videos, reading comments, and seeing how people talk about it. And honestly, some of it is thoughtful, some of it is messy, and some of it just completely misses the point. This video is not about shaming people or creating more division. This is about having a real, honest, faith-based conversation that strengthens testimonies, creates understanding, and makes space for everyone who is trying to live their covenant. So I want to break the video down into 7 key points. Point 1, garments are covenants, not just clothing. One of the biggest misunderstandings I see online is that garments are just about modesty, but here's the truth. Garments are a reminder of our sacred covenants that we make in the temple, promises between you and God. They're connected to discipleship, spiritual protection, and identity as a covenant keeper. When we reduce them to modesty wear, we shrink something eternal into something cultural. And when that happens, people start judging each other's clothing choices instead of focusing on their own relationship with God, right? So if garments were just about covering skin, then wearing them would have no spiritual weight. But the reason they matter is because they're tied to promises, and those go deeper than fabric. Point number 2. The modesty conversation distracts from the core. A lot of online comments frame garments entirely through modesty standards, and that framing has consequences. For example, women get judged for wearing sleeveless tops or hemlines, while men wear short shorts without the same scrutiny. That's not doctrine, that's cultural bias. When modesty becomes the focus, we create an uneven playing field that often leaves women carrying the weight of upholding standards, while men get a pass. That's not Christ-like, and it's not accurate to the purpose of garments. So instead of modesty policing, our focus should be on a personal devotion. Garments are not a measuring stick for someone's worthiness. They're a personal commitment that no one else gets to micromanage. Point number 3, garment changes reflect global realities. Some people treat any change in garment design as if it's bending to worldly pressure, but garments have evolved many times in church history, and usually for very practical reasons. Recently, church introduced options like shorter sleeves, different fabrics, and even the sleeveless designs. That's not caving to culture, it was listening to members worldwide. If you live in a humid climate, or if you have health concerns like heat rashes, traditional garments can be uncomfortable and even unsafe. Our church is a global church. We have members in Uganda, the Philippines, Brazil, the Pacific Islands. They face different realities than members in Utah. When leadership makes these adjustments, it is not a weakening of standards. It's an example of revelation in action. God's house is a house of order, but it's also a house of compassion. Point number 4, members influence leaders. Sometimes we forget church leaders are also members. They live in the same world we do. They listen, observe, and adapt based on what they see and what they hear from us. Remember, many people from my generation will be leaders of the church one day. So what does that mean for us? That means that the conversations that we have online, offline, they matter. If they're thoughtful, respectful, and informed, we can help create a climate where members can feel heard, where practical, inspired adjustments can be made. But if we approach these conversations with hostility or judgment, we're less likely to see a meaningful dialogue. We can both be loyal to the church and honest about the realities that members face. Point 5, engaging online without tearing down. Garments are deeply personal. How and when someone wears them isn't something you can determine by looking at them. And it definitely isn't something to debate in a hostile comment section. And it's none of your business. When we engage online, the goal shouldn't be to win or to publicly shame. Instead, we should answer questions with kindness, clarify misconceptions, and avoid getting sucked into arguments that push people further away from the gospel. Remember, there are people who may be learning about the church for the first time through these posts. If the loudest voices they see are judgmental, we risk turning that curiosity into contempt. Point 6. Inclusivity strengthens testimonies. When we have conversations about garments, we need to think about the people listening who don't have all the context. That could be new converts, less active members, non-members, people preparing for the temple. If they only hear rules without relationships, they might never understand the joy and protection that garments can bring. If they hear stories of personal meaning, spiritual growth, and the connections that garments can create with God, they can see why it's worth it. Our goal should always be to strengthen faith, not to create barriers. Last point, point 7. The garment girlies and why their work matters. Now, I want to talk about the group that gets a lot of heat online, the garment girlies. They are women who make content about styling fashion around garments. Some of them monetize it through brands, selling clothing lines, styling advice. The comment section is incredible. People saying, why are they making money off of something sacred? Shouldn't this be private? Or the passive aggressive ones? Guess we're selling modesty now. Here's my take. I love it, and it's not immoral. We live in a world where people sell paintings, calendars, cookbooks, decor, public speaking that are inspired by faith. These women are providing a niche content for a community that often feels overlooked. People trying to balance personal style, confidence, and honoring their covenants. Most of the fashion industry, man, y'all know, they don't cater to people wearing garments. If you've ever tried to find clothing that fits your style and works with your garments, that could be a challenge. These creators are filling that gap. They help members, especially women, feel confident while also feeling beautiful and keeping their commandments. You might not like their content, but for someone who's new to the faith, struggling with body image or feeling frumpy, it might be a lifeline. That's ministry in its own lane. They are not cheapening garments, they're making the conversation more accessible, showing it's possible to live your covenants with joy and creativity. So all in all, garments are sacred. They're personal and symbolic of something far greater than fabric. They're not about perfection, they're about promise. The way we talk about them matters. The way we treat others in these conversations matters even more. So let's keep the dialogue open. Let's stay curious, stay kind, stay focused on the bigger picture, becoming more like our Savior Jesus Christ, because at the end of the day, that's the covenant garments are meant to remind us of. Love y'all. Like, subscribe, please comment, keep the dialogue going, keep it Christ-like, and share it with a friend. Check out our other videos. We just posted one about Dallin H. Oaks, his quote at a fireside discussing Heavenly Mothers, how we handle that topic along with the principle and how we handle tough topics in the gospel. See y'all soon. Peace.